Welcome to week 9 of Rooted. You've got a lot behind you now, and as you enter into this week and the Rooted celebration is only less than 2 weeks away. Hopefully you've been sharing your personal stories throughout the course of Rooted. And if there are people who have not shared their stories, make sure that happens today. Sometimes when we think about sharing our story of faith, fear can start to arise. But the reality is the idea of sharing our faith comes right out of scriptures. Matthew 28 tells us to go and make disciples of all nations. And to make disciples, we actually have to tell people about who Jesus is.
We know that people around us are trying to find fulfillment in everything that the world has to offer. But Jesus is the only way to find true fulfillment and the only way to begin a relationship with God. We have to ask God to give us the courage to share our story with someone in our lives when the opportunity presents itself.
So this week, we are focusing on how to share our stories well and equipping our group for those opportunities. The homework this week walks us through our stories and breaks this down into 3 parts. The first is the story of our lives before we meet Jesus.
What was life like? What were issues we were facing? The second part is how we came into relationship with Jesus. The group had the opportunity to write out this in their homework this week.
The third part of sharing our story is sharing what is different now that we've encountered Jesus. What has God freed us from? How is God transforming our lives? This is what the gospel message invites us into. Jesus came into our lives and gave us the freedom to live the way He created us to live. God has placed you in your neighborhoods, your schools, your offices. This is why it's important for people to be comfortable with their story and to be able to share it with others.
It gives us courage and intentionality in our sharing. This week, it would be great if you came to the group with a story of how you shared your faith and what happened in that interaction. That will be a great encouragement for them to go out and share their story with others.
We are nearing the end of Rooted now, and there are a couple of things to get in order for your group. First, there may be some people in your group that haven't been baptized. This is a great time to introduce the concept of baptism and invite them into that opportunity.
It's a way to share their story of faith by inviting people to the Rooted celebration to watch them get baptized. The second thing is what we call cardboard testimonies. This is another great way to learn how to quickly and effectively share our story. On one side of the card, you'll write where you were when you first came to Rooted. For example, this side would say something like, very self-sufficient. On the opposite side, you'll write what God has taught you during Rooted. Something like trusting in God's agenda and in God's timing.
Allow some people some time to share their cardboard testimonies in your group. These are really going to be key for you as you're preparing for week 10 and your prophetic prayer over each person in your group.
Collect these at the end of the group and see the scope of life change that has happened over the last 10 weeks.
The prophetic prayer next week is going to be a powerful time for your group. Make sure you're consulting the leader guide and watch the training video on prophetic prayer for more help. Thank you again for boldly leading your Rooted group.